Sveiki sugrįžę į Vilniaus knygų mugės muzikos salės pokalbių sceną, kurioje visas šitas 4 muzikos salės dienas vyksta pokalbiai su įdomiais muzikantais, muzikos pasaulio žmonėmis. Smagu jūs visus čia matyti. Visi žinom, kad atmosfera šiuo metu nėra pati džiugiausia, nėra pati linksmiausia ir vyksta tikrai siaubingi dalykai labai netoli nuo mūsų. Tačiau, kaip vakar čia jau ir sakiau, kūryba, muzika yra neatsiejama nuo laisvės ir vis dėlto mes labai ilgai planavome šitą susitikimą. Pernai muzikos salė nevyko dėl koronaviruso pandemijos, todėl vis dėlto, nors ir galbūt neturėtume tokios džiaugsmingos šventės atmosferos, kokią paprastai turėtume čia, mes toliau tęsiam gyvenimą, mes mėgojamės muziką, mes susipažįstam su naujais Lietuvos atlikėjų darbais ir šitoje scenoje turime pokalbius, kurie aš tikiu, kad yra įdomus ir man labai smagu, kad jūsų, tiesą sakant, šiandien čia yra daugiau negu vakar ir noriu pasidžiaugti, kad renkatės į šitas diskusijas. Pirmoji diskusija šiandieną yra su žmonėmis, kurie yra ne iš čia, jie atvyko pas mus į svečius, į muzikos salę ir iš karto pasakysiu, kad šitas pokalbis bus anglų kalba. Beje, pakelkite rankas, kas kalba angliškai ir galės klausyti šitos diskusijos angliškai. Jokių problemų, gerai, puiku. Ir šiandien mes kalbėsimės su mūsų bičiuliais Mikko ir Freddy, kurie pas mus atkeliavo iš Suomijos ir jie atstovauja vienai didžiausių pasaulio muzikos įrašų leidyklų Warner Music. Paplokim mūsų svečiams šito pokalbio pradžioje. And now I'm switching to English. So first of all, guys, I would like to start with asking you to introduce yourself shortly. And basically, what do you do, in the Warner Music company?
Yeah, so very nice to see you all here, even though the atmosphere in the world at the moment is not the best one, but so good to be here and see that there is a lot of people enthusiastic for the music and like local music especially. So yes, my name is Mikko Manninen. I'm heading operations, Warner Music Group's operations in the Baltic area. I'm Helsinki based and we are actually both are with Freddy, but we are obviously working very closely together with our local teams here in Lithuania, Latvia and Estonia. And it's been really exciting journey so far. I've been like 2 years doing this and I'm so glad that I've been able to introduce myself to the Lithuanian music scene and artist, very like a country full of and lot of talent.
Hi everybody, my name is Freddy. I work together with Mikko at Warner. I'm an A&R, so I work deep in the kind of creative process, quite close to the artists. And yeah, I also look after the A&R process in the Baltic countries and here in Lithuania when it comes to Warner and our local signings. Good to be here. Good to see you all.
Well, I see many young people here, so maybe let's start with just shortly explaining what is Warner Music. Okay, but, basically it's one of the 3 biggest record companies in the world, but anything else. So Warner Music, a crash course, for people who want to know, like, Warner Music in 1 minute, basically. What is it?
Yes, a very good question, actually. But yeah, Warner Music is one of the, as you said, one of the biggest record labels in the world. We have basically 3 major record labels, Warner Music, Universal and Sony. We are operating in most of the countries, covering like both international artists and local music, as well as in here as well. So basically that. Would you like to add something, Freddy?
Yeah, I think coming from Finland, we do really well there, and I think one reason is that we are again very deep in the creative process and support our artists there, and that's also what we hope to bring to Lithuania and to our teams and artists here to be supportive and to be able to support very holistically, but especially in the creative process, because everything comes down to the music in the end.
Okay, in case you're wondering, so these are basically the guys, and this is the company that is working with some of the people who are pictured on these beautiful walls there. So we have what? Bruno Mars, Dua Lipa, Ed Sheeran, and many, many more. So, you know, this is just a little introduction to some of the artists that you're working with. Will there be more additional Dua Lipa tickets for the concerts in June? I know you are not responsible for that. That was just a little joke of mine, but let me ask you this. As, well, you know, just 6-7 years ago, most of the music in Lithuania was released by local record labels with no affiliation with major labels. And honestly, I mean, you know, it all seemed kind of, I wouldn't have believed that Warner Music will have a local representation in Lithuania, and Universal will have a local representation, and Sony will have local representation here, because it kind of seemed, and the thinking in the local business was, we're kind of a small territory, we are small, we are not really interesting. So why now? You mentioned for a couple of years already you have been doing things here and scouting for talents and, you know, and of course promoting foreign artists here as well. Why now? Why did you decide to step into Lithuanian markets recently?
I would say there is two things. And first of all, of course, the world has, in music has gone a lot smaller in that sense that through these global platforms and DSPs, Spotify's, Apple's, and so on, in a way, music is reachable everywhere and for everyone, and also like it makes it so much easier to operate in all the territories compared to the times when you need to have a basically CD supply chains or something like that in place. And second thing is obviously as well that through these new platforms, the music market in Lithuania is increasing rapidly as well. And obviously we are also looking now like 5 years ahead and how it will look then and where we are heading at. And at the same time we have, Freddie can tell more about it, but notice that there is also a lot of like very interesting, good quality producers, very interesting new sound, people who are making very interesting music like these Autostrada guys here, for example. So that's one of the reasons as well.
Yeah, I agree. To continue where Mikko left off, I think when you start looking into a new market and a new country and start digging into what there is in the local scene and you know, discovering all these amazing talents both on the artist side but also on the songwriting and producer side, indie labels and all of this. It's very intriguing. I think there's the quality is on a very high level. So it's very interesting for us also to kind of see what we can do there, where we can find synergies, where we can kind of open doors. We've had our local acts in Finland to work, and we have had some of our songwriters and producers here to work with local talents. So I think kind of mixing and matching and just, you know, looking into all there is to kind of, you know, work with. And I feel us being here and kind of being able to, in our way and in some ways, support the local communities and the local scene is very important.
That was my next question. So how can local artists benefit from collaboration with Warner Music and, you know, and other major labels, of course? Is it mostly about exposure? Is it about financial backing when it comes to recording an album, for example? Is it about getting airplay, you know, in territories that previously wouldn't have been, you know, possible, or it would be very difficult? So what are the key advantages for the artist to be signed by a major label?
Yeah, I think all the things you just mentioned were just one of those reasons. But just to add one, I think one important thing is it's kind of also opens up a bit of a possibilities to work, cooperate and work internationally as well, like with maybe some other producers, let's say from Finland or Sweden or Estonia, and songwriters and so on. So kind of having you a international network as well, and sometimes as an artist that is exactly what you need. It's kind of open up new kind of paths for your music and so on. So I think this creative side is actually also one of the most important things there.
Yeah, and I think also kind of taking off, obviously the indie labels and managers and local teams are doing an amazing job and has been for a long time, but kind of being able to come in and support and maybe lift some things off their table so that they can concentrate on, you know, the artist and the creative process, and we can kind of help out with all the hassle around it.
Yeah, let's go to exact examples, because, you know, Verup, of course, is, well, the most well-known success story when it comes to a collaboration, because Verup is signed by Warner Music, and of course everybody heard Discotheque, and it did great into Eurovision, yeah. And, you know, and lots of streams, etc., etc. Just to mention that other artists that you're working with at the moment in Lithuania is Monique. And actually, that is interesting. That's something that you mentioned, because I think one of the latest singles by Monique was co-written by Elon, who is a Finnish artist, by the way, taking part in Muzikos salė this time. So she will perform a live set, I think,
tomorrow.
Is it today or tomorrow? Tomorrow in the evening.
Yeah.
And of course, Autostrada guys. Autostrada is basically, you know, previously we would call, you know, urban pop, but urban is no longer the term. So, you know, let's call it alternative pop or progressive pop. So artists like Free Finger, who is very well known in Lithuania, and I see Keanu Blunt having his picture there, so I assume that you're kind of working, you know, kind of interested in other artists from Autostrada label as well. So what does this tell us about your interest in Lithuanian acts? Is there any sort of pattern, and what are the things that you are looking for when you are scouting around for talent in a country like Lithuania?
Well, obviously there needs to be kind of a quality to it. But I think the most important thing is that there needs to be kind of you know, some sort of it needs to spring some sort of an emotion and excitement, and obviously all the acts that we have signed, the local acts, they do that, and the quality is great, the songs are great, and most importantly, like the artistry is very on point. I think it's, you know, even though being a small country, I think in many things you are ahead of other countries where you know, we can kind of like, the Autostrada guys were mentioned, I think their kind of view on how to work releases and their artists, like, you know, all around 360, where there is amazing looking shows and you know, merch and productions, and everything feels very fresh and interesting, and I think that goes for all the artists that we work with locally. And I think also what's interesting is that because you've been doing it through local teams and maybe on your own, it's very like the artist here has a very clear vision on, you know, their whole thing and what they want to do and how they want it to be worked. And we're definitely not here to change that or tell anyone, okay, well, you know, that's now how this should be done. I mean, we're here to kind of just support and, again, kind of take some things off their table and so that they can concentrate on kind of the core thing.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, and I have not that much to add. But like Freddie said, I think the most important thing that kind of is common for all of these artists is, in a way, the vision. It might be very different depending on artist, but they have a clear vision what they are as an artist, and that helps us a lot to work and support and change that. So.
Yeah, and I think, sorry, I think also to have somebody maybe from the outside to kind of challenge you on some decisions. We might end up with you know, the same decision anyways, but kind of being able to challenge the process a little bit is also something that can be of value, because sometimes you've been doing it for some time and you're very deep into kind of your ways of working things. So sometimes having somebody from the outside, kind of at least asking the questions and saying, like, should we think about this, or should we maybe do it in another way? Maybe we don't, but we at least kind of, you know, work on it and talk about it.
Yeah, well, let me ask you a couple more provocative questions. I mean, you know, are there any genres or age groups that you are not particularly interested in when it comes to local Lithuanian music? Well, let me give you an example. Finnish might be a stereotype. You are very good with metal. For some reason, you like metal, like a lot. Whenever I go to Helsinki, you know, there's lots of black leather and, you know, and rock pubs and like whatever. And you do metal very well. I mean, like if there's a metal act from Lithuania, and metal in Lithuania is not big at all. I mean, does that mean that, well, automatically it's kind of less important, less interesting for you as a label to be working with? And another question is, if there's like a, you know, a rock band of 70-year-olds playing rock music in Lithuanian, again, I don't think this is something that you're looking for. So is there any sort of pattern? You're interested in pop music, mostly? Would that be a fair assessment? And people who make music for a quite young audience?
Yeah, I would say maybe again, going back to what we're looking for in our artist is not, you know, geared towards age or a specific genre. It's more like, you know, what kind of an excitement and vibe and emotion does it create, and does it resonate? If you look at our roster in Finland, it's very wide. We have like new wave rappers, but we also have novelty acts and you know, local schlager. So we work on a very broad spectrum, and we don't sign kind of to fill certain pockets of, you know, what artists or what genres we need. It's more about, you know, something, okay, we feel we can add some value here, and we feel this can be successful. I think that's what we're going for.
Yes, absolutely, and I think like there's no reason why not to sign a heavy band from Lithuania, but it obviously needs to be a very good one. It needs to be on an international level when it comes to that genre, and obviously, and like to be honest as well, more specific genres you go. Let's say heavy metal is a good example. Usually you need to have also people on board who are very much into that scene, so that they know everything about the heavy metal. They know all the nuances, and of course it's often like different A&Rs, they have a bit of a different, for example, specialities. Someone is more into the hip hop, somebody's more into the pop, and so on. So maybe in that case there might be some, let's say, European heavy metal label who might be a better partner as well for the artist, but there is no that kind of a genre rule at all in place.
Another question is, does that mean that you're mostly interested in the acts who could make it internationally, who could be interesting for people, let's say in Poland, Finland, not only in Lithuania, like, you know, at least Latvia, Estonia, etc. The reason I'm asking is you signed Prefinger and his album is, you know, he sings in Lithuanian. Does that mean that you are also interested in artists who are, you know, working in the local scene, or does that also mean that you believe that something that is performed in Lithuanian could be also interesting abroad? So is the language a barrier? And you know, if there's a brilliant act that you think is brilliant and is creating in Lithuanian, that's kind of like automatically tricky for you to sign.
Well, I think it's a bit of a cliche, but I feel like, you know, borders are to be torn down, and kind of, I think they're getting much more blurred right now, and we see we do a lot of collabs also cross borders and cross languages and all of that, and we can easily mix on a successful rap track. We can mix Swedish and Finnish and English. We have an example of that just recently, and it was #1 on Spotify for 70 consecutive days. I mean, I feel like obviously the domestic scene and the success in your own country, it's kind of where everything starts. Because when you then go abroad, they will ask, you know, okay, so what's happening in your home country? And I know that the challenge, because we have the same in Finland, that in Finland the media hopes for something abroad to happen, and then they will kind of claim it, especially if you do sing in English. But I think what we sign is we obviously have signings, local signings here in Lithuania that has huge international potential as well. I mean, the Roop, Giovanni, Monique. but it's a longer journey, and you know, it also needs to have at least some local success, which they obviously have.
And I think it's actually a very interesting question, because there can be like also both things on the same time. You can do basically, as Freddie said, nowadays the language barrier, it's not that huge anymore, but it's also like often more local you go, more unique you go as well, and like for example, for me, music, for example, Free Finger does, it's very kind of a relatable, even though I don't very much like understand about the words, anything. But like in Finland, I think our local roster is 90%, 80% Finnish language roster as well. Somehow it's still often that like your own language, it comes much more closer, and thinking about the big artists in the region, they are often singing in local language.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. Everybody's trying to sell something. You're not trying to sell anything in this. I mean, like, so what do people do when they when they come over? Like, what can they find there?
Well, actually, we could ask that even more from our local fair stuff, but there is possibility to do a quiz and win a headphones, for example. There is possibility to ask anything about the Warner Music artist, and we try to answer. Basically, just come to chat, and obviously we just also want to be part of this fair as a brand, as we see this as a very important thing for the local music scene.
That was a joke question, but I like the fact that you finish also always answer everything so seriously. So next time, just bring a big telephone and do this thing where you basically make a phone call. You never know who's going to answer. Ed Sheeran, Dua Lipa, or whatever, and you could say, "Hi, hello, good luck to Lithuania." That would be just a very simple idea. How do people get signed to Warner Music? Because I think that's a question in many artists' heads as well.
Yeah.
Do they have to actively like seek you out and your local team and say, "Hi guys, by the way, we have a new record coming up. Maybe you're interested." Are you looking for talent actively? Does it go both ways? What's the most efficient way? If, say, there's an artist who has experience, who thinks they have charisma, talent, and vision, and they want to work with you, what do they do? How do they go about it?
Well, I think there are a lot of ways to get in touch with us. Obviously, here, a couple of days now, you can come and talk to us. You can show us your music, but. Then, I mean, we're scouting and looking into the local scene all the time, and we're following numbers and charts and data. But then also we hear about things, and we have our local representation who's very on the pulse with what is happening. So that's obviously always somebody you can reach out to. You can send an email with a couple of songs and kind of introduce. So we don't only sign acts that already has success. We also sign stuff that we work on together to create success. So there's definitely many ways. But I would say, I mean, even if we're a big label, a global label, it's not that hard to get in touch with us. It's quite easy.
And usually it's the best if you kind of hear things from many different sources about the same thing. Somebody said that he has saw a great gig of the local band. Somebody sent at the same time some Instagram posting or whatever, so that you kind of you find band and kind of people are clearly talking about it. That's always in a way a good sign for us as well.
But that's a really good answer, because probably if you think it's difficult to get in touch with you, then probably you are not prepared yet. So that's just another thing that, acts probably should have like a management, and they kind of would understand that, at least we know who to email or find out who to email, how to find each other, etc. So this is the place where you have another 2 minutes to say nice things about our country and our music scene, because my next question was, what surprised you the most about Lithuania and Lithuanian music, the whole environment? Because you definitely visited Mama, I'm not sure, did you go to Mama Awards as well? And of course, these days, Mama, because of COVID, is not necessarily like, fully what it used to be and what it will be in the future. Apart from that, anything else that you found surprising? So how does the whole music scene and everything that is happening look to you,
Well, I think like, I don't know if it surprised me, but just seeing and hearing how, on high of a level things are here, when it comes to music videos, when it comes to productions, songwriting, and also, again, coming down to the vision and the overall know-how of how to navigate a project and a career. I think that's very impressive. And yeah, I really love like the music that is done here. And even though I think I've told our local act as well, I mean, I have some of the, Lithuanian songs on my playlist as well. I don't understand the language, but it creates excitement and emotion for me, and I think it's really good.
Yes, I agree, and I would still add that Lithuania is actually also internationally very influential market. Usually when we see some international hits coming to the region, Lithuania is one of the first countries who, in a way, those songs are peaking, and that's interesting. And I guess that goes in hand with kind of an open mind of the Lithuanian people when it comes to the international vibes as well, and usually many things here are much easier to do also when it comes to, let's say, promotional things and stuff like that. People kind of taking good ideas, or not even good, but all ideas in a way, welcome them with an open mind, and I think it's a kind of a good mindset for a label as well.
Just tell us that we are cooler than Latvians and Estonians. We always like to hear that. Latvians and Estonians are not listening at the moment. No, that was a joke. Yeah, you don't need.
Of course you are, but let's not tell them. Let's not tell them.
Okay, is there a limit of how many acts you plan to sign? Because that's a legit question. I mean, like it's not the biggest country in the universe, and you have a local office and local people working for you, but you can't kind of run like 30 or 35 acts or something. So do you have like a strategic plan where you go like, okay, several artists? I don't know. Is there like a number?
What? Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, not like of course, not like a exact number or anything. And we are obviously all the time looking interesting talent and interesting artists. But you're absolutely right as well. Of course, it comes also to the resources and everything that we need to also focus very much and be very careful who we sign, because we also want to deliver as well, because it's not only signing, but then the work starts. You need to be very involved into the creative process, marketing, like communications, PR, everything, like from this kind of events to the radio competitions or whatever. So that's why I think the key thing is that how many artists we can sign, so that we can give always like the best out of us as well.
Nothing to add there.
Yeah, we have 1 minute left. Can I finish this with 2 silly questions, but like really silly ones, all right?
Yeah, let's go.
So our first one, who's going to go and represent Finland in Eurovision this year? Is this going to be the Rasmus?
Yes.
What do you think?
I think so.
You think so?
I think the Rasmus is going to win the whole thing.
Yeah, I would say the same, at least the Finnish qualification. The song is really good.
Actually, I like that a lot as well. Like Jezebel is a really great tune. And I met them in 2003, and I will not be able to tell you many things that they were doing, because these are not the things to be discussed in a public conversation. But yeah, that was the rock and roll days. And the last one, a really silly one. Who's the biggest pop star that you have a phone number of, in your mobile phone at the moment?
Well, I think Freddie has a bigger names in his phone folder, but well, I would say Antti Tuisku. He is maybe the biggest Finnish male pop star.
Sean Paul.
Wow. Can we call him now and just like have him? Okay, yeah.
I'd rather not, because he might change his number, and then I have no contact.
Okay. Actually, does anyone have any questions? Because we probably have like 1 minute for... Or maybe we can just continue this conversation if you're interested in Warner Music Baltics place, which is conveniently placed right next to this conversation stage. So thank you very much. Freddy, Mikko, I hope you enjoy the rest of your stay here in Music Hall, Muzikos salė. Ačiū mūsų svečiams iš Suomijos, Warner Music Baltics. Jūs visada galite su jais pabendrauti štai šitame Warner Music stende, kur šiaip yra labai gražu, dega švieselės, Edo Šyrano didžiulis veidas, Dua Lipa, į kurią niekas nebegali gauti bilietų, Bruno Marsas ir visi kiti. Prieikit, pasisveikinkit, pabendraukit, paplokim mūsų šio pokalbio dalyviams.
Thank you.
And thank you, Ramunas. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure for me as well. Let's do this again
And
next year.
lastly, talking about Eurovision, you have an amazing entry as well. Congrats.
Oh, thanks. Monica Liu. Yep. Yeah, I like that as well. Are you signing her next, no?
Let's see.
Pagyvensim, pamatysim.
But I think there might be even I know it's a long time since the last local language entry, but there might be a place for a surprise. I think the song is extremely interesting.
Puiku, komplimentai Monikai Liu, kuriai visi rinkim sėkmės Eurovizijai. Dabar mes tikrai turim baigti, kadangi veiksmas keliasi į koncertų sceną, o po pusvalandžio mes sugrįšim čia į pokalbių sceną ir kalbėsime su grupe The Ditties. Tai iki kito susitikimo čia lygiai po 30 minučių.